How's it going, guys? We're live for the first Poker Player podcast. My name is Andreas Furley, and today I got a guest, Karlencho, who is a Twitch streamer. He's very active on Instagram and YouTube. He's basically everywhere. He's been grinding very hard on poker. He has his own bankroll challenge, and I'm excited to have him here on the podcast. Welcome, Karlencho, to the podcast.
Thank you, Andreas, for inviting me. I'm honored to be your first guest.
Cool to have you on here. So first question I want to ask you is, what did get you into poker? What is your story?
My story is kind of simple. I got introduced to poker when I was 15 years old. My uncle bought a chipset, and basically I used to play every time I went to visit him. We played against each other, and he was very competitive, and it was just always my goal to beat him. So at the beginning of my poker career, my main goal was to beat my uncle, which I eventually achieved. And then after that, we used to play with my schoolmates after the school, sometimes even during the classes. And I was just like really into poker, started studying, was making good money, beating my friends. And then eventually started playing online when I was 18, and I was able to run my bankroll up, and I used to make a living playing poker for like 2 years, until 2016, when some things happened in my life. And what I mean by that, I broke up with my girlfriend. That was a big milestone for me. And basically after that, I stopped playing for like 6 months. And then I came back, I started streaming, I got myself this studio and just been grinding ever since.
Okay, awesome. So how did poker feel back then, and how does it feel now? You say like your uncle got you into poker, and your main motivations was to beat him. But once you're done with that, like what changed? How does it feel now, and how did it feel back then?
I think it's really important to have something additional to your poker goal and poker dream. So for me back then, it was beating my uncle. After beating my uncle, it was beating my schoolmates. After beating my schoolmates, it was just like build a bankroll and be able to make a living playing poker. And now is the content creation, is the Twitch, is the YouTube videos and all that stuff. Of course, as time goes and you become more experienced and you are in the game for some times, the passion level tones down. But I think it happens in all the categories in your life, and that's one of the reasons why I think it's always important to have something on the side as well as an additional element to the grind itself.
So you would say that now you're obviously not just a poker player, you're also, starting with content creation. And how are the percentages? Are 50-50? And is content creation that what made poker engaging again? Did you need that, or would you have stopped playing without content creation even?
That's an interesting question. Would I stop playing? I probably wouldn't stop playing, but I don't think I would be as motivated to get into that point where actually, poker is a way of making a living again. So actually that's right. Like creating the content and having that element in my life kind of helped me to, be able to grind once again.
To keep going, keeping engaging. Cool. So you are into poker tournaments now with your bankroll challenge. You try to run up $10 and do $1,000. Why is it poker tournaments? Why don't you just try to play cash games? You got that special thing going with the Czech Republic, don't you?
Yes. So that's a big topic. If you give me like 5 minutes, I can explain the situation.
give the viewers the shortcuts.
Okay. So in 2017, a stupid law. I'm gonna call it what it is. It's stupid. Okay. Sure. Czech government agreed to the stupid law, which affected everything from sports betting to ATMs to poker itself. Basically, from January to March, I think 2017, there was no online poker in Czech Republic. The sites had to get a new license by Czech Republic to be able to operate in Czech Republic. Only PokerStars was able to get the license, because the other sites, I don't know what the license is in particular, but I've heard there's like a stupid amount of tax that they have to pay, and it's not profitable for the smaller sites, if you know what I mean. So PokerStars was able to get the license in March 2017, and at that time was I actually got offered to rent the studio, and I was just really like, am I about to, like, I don't know, how's the poker gonna look like in Czech Republic? It looked ridiculous. Like I wasn't even like, I did not believe that there's gonna be online poker. But yeah, PokerStars came back, but the problem was there were no MTTs. One of the laws, one of the Czech Republic laws says that the tournament can't start until there's 50% of the guaranteed prize pool collected. Okay. At the time back then, PokerStars did not know how to handle that, so they like banned tournaments because they had to figure out that 50% stuff, and they had to like develop a new software for that as well, some software changes and stuff. So I rented the studio. PokerStars I was able to play on PokerStars from Czech Republic, but there were no tournaments. I never played cash games. Actually, I don't enjoy playing cash games. I would probably say it like that. I don't enjoy playing cash games. And yeah, I had the studio, I had the PC ready, everything. Like I was just about to start streaming, and yeah, around that time, that was the time when the challenge, got developed, or I came up with the idea of doing this challenge. So the challenge started with the sits and goes, because there were no MTTs, and the rule of the challenge was no cash games, because once again, I think it's easier with cash games. And at the same time, I don't really have the cash game skills, so it didn't make sense for me to play cash games. And then eventually tournaments came back in like July or June later that year. So since they came back, we switched to tournaments and sits and goes for the challenge. So that was the main reason why I decided to play tournaments. But even back then, I was always a tournament player.
Okay, so that was basically a lot of politics going on, and Czech Republic is not the only country. As a matter of fact, I've moved countries as well. I moved to Austria because of poker, because there's a threat in Switzerland as well that poker is not going to be allowed there anymore. But there's probably some also deals that go on right now that PokerStars is going to be able to continue. And the question is always, under what circumstances? Is there going to be more rake because of taxes for the countries, for the individual ones, or is it going to be something else affecting the players, like that you can't play a certain format anymore, which would hurt your bottom line a lot as well. So yeah, keeping of course updated to that, and if I know anything, I'll let you guys know if you're from Switzerland and playing poker from there. So yeah, politics. I don't want to go too much into that. Otherwise, I'm also going to keep talking too much about this topic, and I'm going to get into a pretty bad mood. Let's talk about good stuff. Like, how did you get into Twitch next to, of course, like the story with the tournaments and the challenge and the motivations? But what do you like so much about Twitch? What are your reasons to create the poker content on Twitch?
I think it was just a natural step to take, because even back in the day in 2016, when I still was playing poker and was making living playing it, I had an Instagram account. I started my YouTube channel as well. So it just felt like another step to add Twitch to my resume as well. So that's basically it. And I was always inspired by everyone that streamed. I used to see a lot of Jamie's videos, Kevin Martin, Tonka as well, from time to time popped up on my YouTube feed. And I was just like, I might like start to do this as well. Since I have the YouTube channel, I have the Instagram, it's kind of doing well. And I was just always passionate about, making videos and creating content. When I was a little kid, I wanted to be a director or an actor. And now with poker, like I can do all three basically. Like I'm an actor, I'm a director, I'm the poker player as well. So it was just a perfect step for me to take.
you can write your own story, right? You can, and also that's, I think a lot of people enjoy that as well. If you bring some personal stories, in which I struggle a little with it. I don't talk like too much about it. I talk poker strategy mainly, but I think when it comes to you're talking a lot about other things than poker, and people ask you. So what are the questions people ask you?
I talk about everything on the stream. Like, I swear to God, they know everything. Okay, everything. Like, the most interesting story is, I don't even know if I want to tell that story. Whatever, it's known. Someone asked me where and when I lost my virginity, and that story is legendary. So my audience knows exactly when, where, how long it lasted. It was a really interesting story, by the way. Go check out my YouTube. There, story is there somewhere.
You found it on Karlencho if you want to know about that story. We're not going to go into too much depth here, but yeah, I mean, this is quite personal. I think, yeah, this is definitely explaining why, you would say also this is why people come to your channel a lot. It's not just about poker; it's about poker life, right? It's
It's just like, I think being authentic and being yourself is really, really important. If I tell you that story, like, I'm not worried to talk about anything. Like, I'm just me, whether you like it or not. I'm just always gonna be me. And I think, when your intent is right, people are gonna always appreciate that. So yeah, I think it's really important to just be yourself and not be afraid to tell your opinion, or just being open and vulnerable. I think vulnerability is a really some people take it as a weakness. I think it's a strength to be vulnerable.
Yeah. I also shout out to the viewers tuning in here early for the first podcast. We got Metalord in there, we got T-Grinder. What's up, guys? Hope that you're having a good time watching the podcast. Also, let us know if you have any questions. If you have got questions for Karlencho directly, definitely at least have time at the end of this podcast. And yeah, I mean, what I also wanted to ask you, when you compare the different platforms, Twitch, YouTube, and Instagram, what platform do you like best? Like, probably Twitch, but what makes it unique, and what other platforms are you using, and why? What's your strategy behind it, or what's your take on it, basically?
I mean, for me, there wasn't even any other option. I think all the attention was on Twitch at the time, and it still is. Like, I can't name a regular poker player that streams on any other platform than Twitch. So that's where the attention was, and I felt like it's the place to be. So for me,
yeah, that I think the attention, when you're streaming, you have the most attention from people. Maybe not. Maybe sometimes on YouTube, if somebody's watching a video, then you have a lot of attention as well. But the volume that gets into Twitch is just massive. You could get into the thousands. Especially if you get hosted by someone. But at the same time, I think when it comes to discoverability, have you thought about that when you're offline, you cannot be discovered on Twitch that easily? People don't watch the vodcast or those vodcasts that much, but on YouTube, people can actually discover you anytime, right? On Instagram as well, like anytime they're even live. So these platforms are a little bit different, or aren't they?
I mean, that's why it's important to not just have one platform, to be discovered at. Like, when I'm not streaming, I have my YouTube, I have my Instagram and Facebook, which is, ultimately still linked to my Twitch itself. So, my content on YouTube is the content from when I stream. So, yeah, basically everything is linked together, and it just makes sense in the overall picture.
Yeah, it's basically a supporting platform.
Supports each other.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's get over to more poker focus again. When you look at your poker schedule, you're a poker content creator and poker player. So how much time do you spend on these areas? Like, what are the percentages? You play like half poker, half content creation, or how do you think about that? You mentioned something about scheduling. What do you schedule like?
So my schedule is, I would say, the three most important pillars for me is, of course, the poker itself, actual playing. Then it's the studying, and then it's the content creation. the biggest portion is of course playing poker, and because I play and stream at the same time, I kind of do a little bit of the content creation and playing at the same time. It makes sense. Then it's of course the studying and the content creation. Because the content creation takes a lot of time, it sometimes, it basically consumes more time than studying. So I would say I spend more time on actual content creation than the studying. But of course, I'm the one in control, which is the beautiful thing about it. Like if I feel like I need to study more, I can always spend more time studying. I can spend less time creating the content. With my schedule that I'm currently operating on, I think this is like the best schedule that I ever had. Like I'm able to do all three things 100% focused, 100% dedicated to whatever I'm doing at the time, and it's working. And there's the gym as well.
Okay, cool. So
yeah.
How do you make sure, like, I don't think it's like a problem that you get the streaming done or like the content creation part, but like how do you make sure that you're actually going to end up also putting the work into studying, like maybe an hour a day, or what vicinity are we like speaking? How make sure you get that hour done?
Yeah, so for me, it's 4 days a week, at least 2 hours. So Monday, then Wednesday, but I stream the Wednesday at the same time once again. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday are the days where I have at least 2 hours available for the studies. But once again, it's flexible. So if there's something I need to do or something happens, I can always, transfer those hours or replace them with other activities. So yeah, that's basically, for me, it's 4 days a week, 2 hours at least.
Okay.
Now with my new schedule.
I just recently discovered that you started studying with Runitonce Poker. What are your experiences? How did you get to know them?
Basically, they got in touch with me on Instagram, and then we somehow came up with a long-term deal of me promoting them in exchange for free membership and me being able to study there. And they were just really supportive since like the first message. I just liked the way that they were approaching me, because Runitonce wasn't actually the first coaching site that offered me something like that. I turned down a lot of coaching sites in the past because I wasn't feeling the way that they were operating, whether it was the pricing or the owner or the people that work for them or just the reputation. But when Runitonce came around, it just felt right to do it. I respect Phil. I respect where the company is moving. I respect the upcoming Runitonce poker project. So it was just a natural move for me. And I think 2 weeks ago was the first stream of the collaboration project that I have with Runitonce now, called Runitonce Wednesdays, which is basically a live poker training stream with me and my audience doing some analysis and practices together. So I'm really excited about that project.
Who's your favorite coach on Runitonce Poker on the elite program? Like, who do you listen to?
Sam Grafton, for sure. Then also both of the Greenwood brothers, and Lucas Dvores is something that I enjoy his videos as well.
Okay, Daniel Dvores?
Daniel.
Daniel Dvores, yeah. There's Lucas. Who is Lucas?
Lucas Greenwood,
yeah, great. The Greenwood brothers, yeah, and Dvores. Cool. So, what do you think about their methods of teaching poker? Like, what has resonated the most with you? What have you learned from them? Like, was it about hands, or was it about?
I think there's a little bit of everything that you can find on Runitonce. I think there's a lot of, what's the word, diversity. Like you can, if you feel like studying more of a theory, you can always find a ton of theory videos. If you feel like you actually need to, practice the hands or the strategy itself, like you can find everything. So I always like the diversity, and also the people that create the content there, and the way the content is structured, it's understandable, it's easy to find, and yeah, the pricing is on point as well. I think the pricing is really good for the monthly subscription.
Yeah, you get it's still affordable if you spend 99 a month, especially for any other training site. You can still everyone can afford that if you it's like $3 a day, right? So you can definitely do that instead of drinking like your beer or whatever. You want to spend some money, and you can definitely get half of the money. So when it comes to studying poker, how does it interfere in general, becoming better as a poker player? How does it interfere with content creation? Because it may take a lot of time. Like, you do everything yourself, as I mentioned at the beginning. You do the YouTube videos, you do the cutting, you have to do thumbnails, you have to do so many. You don't delegate a lot of things, right? So what would you think it would look like if you had more time and could just spend more time on your poker game? Or would you even want that? So 2 questions.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Like, I'm not sure if I would have the motivation to study if I wasn't streaming. But at the same time, if I wasn't streaming and I had the motivation to study, I think my poker game would become better. But at the same time, I would not enjoy it that much, if you know what I mean. I would be better, but there would be no fun element behind it, I think.
Okay, so now that you study, how can people see that you have actually changed some of the plays because of studying? Do you like tell people, look, I'm going to make this play because I saw this and this in this video, or how do you explain that?
Yeah. Basically, when I start streaming, like, I always tell people, if there's something I want to change, I'm gonna be like, our focus is gonna be, I don't know, our 3-bets or our sizing or whatever. And also, I document everything. So if you look at the videos from back in the day and you look at the videos now, you will see like a change. And I think that's a great sign, because in my personal opinion, if you don't think your game sucked 1 year ago, you didn't make any progress. Do you think your game sucked, Andreas, 1 year ago?
Yeah, of course. Like, I think that's for everyone the case, especially because I think I made one of the at least when you go into the level of depth of how I play pot limit Oma now compared to like 1 year ago, with all the work I've done, it's just day and night. And I definitely thought that a year ago I was fine, but always 1 year later, you see like so many things that you did wrong back then. And I think it's for everyone. I think, yeah, if you stand still and you kind of look back at 1 year ago, and either you're very good, like you're crushing everything and it doesn't matter at that point anymore, that you improve because you're making so much money anyway, or you're delusional because like poker moves also very fast forward, even though some people are still crap at it, but it moves forward. Solvers are coming these days. More and more people are using them. Some people use them the wrong way, of course, but people get better, and you have to also, for example, in tournament poker, a lot of people are using raise your edge, and these days they at least have pre-flop figured out quite a bit better than they used to, making less mistakes there. So yeah, if you think that your game hasn't moved forward in a year, you're either not spending enough time working on poker, or you're just too good and you don't have to care anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So another thing I want to talk about is, sometimes you get distracted. We talked a bit about in the conversation before this podcast, and you also had some ideas on your distraction. What are your distractions? What do you get distracted by?
The chat, the Twitch chat for sure. I actually found out something that sometimes I make some moves just to make the Twitch chat happy, and I think that's my weakness as well. I know that I should, or I feel like I should do something, but I know like, oh, if I do this, like I'm gonna get flamed in the chat. So I'd much rather, not.
Okay.
You know what I'm trying to say. Like, I'd much rather not do the move just to not get flamed in the chat.
You're concerned with what the chat thinks of you.
Yeah, and I need to get rid of that.
Well, that's like, on one side you care, which is a good thing, but on the other side, you care maybe a bit too much. Like, I don't know. maybe I'm a little the opposite. Like I don't give a shit if chat thinks that my
Yeah,
play sucks. Like I
yeah.
just make my plays, and I think because I work on it so much, I can analyze it myself. Like I have that at least that confidence because I have solvers and I've worked with them, and I just will know afterwards whether I made the right play. And if chat berates me, whatever. But maybe that's also not too good. Maybe the chat wants to berate you, and you have to be also a little vulnerable to that, even if you know some of the things a bit better because you've worked on it. Like I love it when someone in the chat actually puts out an analysis and really knows what he's talking about. Like, and some people definitely do that. I have some really good players in my chat who work on the poker game, and they will let me know that some of these plays might have not been that optimal for that and that reason. And I like discussing that. But then, if like sometimes people just want to comment, and then they're just like, oh, this play sucked, and they don't actually know what they're talking about. So there's a little bit of difference. So for you, I don't know how you can change that the most efficiently. Like, what are your thoughts? Like, how do you want to change that? Because you want to change it, you said. How do you want to change that?
How I want to change that? Just have more self-belief and actually get into the mindset of, I'd much rather, there's a good metaphor for that. I'd much rather die on my own sword. If you know what I mean. I'd much rather do something and be wrong, but it's on me, than not do something and just to like make someone else feel comfortable about it. I just need to get into the mindset of not giving a fuck.
What is it? I got this audiobook on Audible about what is it? The Art of Not Giving a Fuck. You know that guy?
I've heard about it.
Yeah, it's actually pretty good audiobook. I think there's a lot of truth in it. It's obviously a model. It's like simplified in a way, but I benefited quite a bit from it in terms of mindset, in terms of not being too results oriented in life. And it's a great guide, I think. And I have to re-listen to it again because some of these mistakes I'm still making a lot. So yeah, definitely. If you guys want any recommendation, that what is it? I have to put it somewhere in the description below because it's a great audiobook. The Art of Not Giving a Fuck. I forgot the name of the guy, but it's a great audiobook. All right, but some other distractions, not just when you're streaming, but I mean in general. What does distract you from your work? What kind of distractions?
Outside of like actual gameplay and outside of streaming, I don't really get distracted that much.
Well, you mentioned like distraction or like other things that you do, like Walking Dead, that you see maybe less value in for what your goals are.
Yeah, of course. Like I used to be a big Walking Dead, a Game of Thrones fan. I think it's a widely known fact about me. But since I started streaming and doing my own stuff, I don't feel like, for me, there's no value watching. I don't feel good watching it anymore because somewhere back in my mind, there's this thought of just like, bro, like really are you gonna spend 45 minutes watching Rick Grimes, like doing like killing, I don't know what. Like you could use those 45 minutes to do something more productive,
But yeah, isn't it at the same time dangerous though that like if you do that all the time with everything you do, you can also step over the line and say, okay, like I got this thing with Hearthstone. I used to play a bunch of Hearthstone, just a couple of games after doing everything else, and I stopped doing it for a while and I thought, why am I not giving myself the time to enjoy, that moment? Because it's also important, like to have something you enjoy and just eliminate all these things that you enjoy doing that are maybe not going to the gym or doing sports, which is definitely also having another long-term effect because you move, right? So I think you can always step over the line, okay? Or what do you think?
Yeah, I think, of course, it's about balance and not judging yourself when it's out of balance. Of course, like doing something for a couple of hours, it's not bad. It's just about how you think about it, I think. Like, of course, like what's gonna happen if you watch one episode of Walking Dead? Like nothing. Like time is a big asset, and I think it's just about balance and not judging yourself. Not beating yourself up when you spend 2 hours playing video games. Like just make sure your intent is right. Just make sure that you're not just talking and actually doing something that will help you to get to your goals. Because it's one thing for me to say, I don't know, I'm gonna build a stream, and it's a second thing to actually build the stream and actually be there 4 or even more days a week and doing the work. So make sure you back up your ambition first, or back up your words first, and then just do whatever.
I think you mentioned a pretty important point there, that is like the intent, like why you want to do that is very important. Because what's your intent on like the 5th episode? Like when you're binge watching, that's like, there's no real intent anymore. Like the intent at first is like, you have pleasure watching a series, right? But then the intent just is like not there anymore at some point. First of all, also there's the return that you get is lowered and lowered. There's a lowered return by every hour that you watch. No matter what you do, it gets less enjoyable, and your costs are basically the same every hour. Like your opportunity costs, right? Which is a big concept in the economy. Like if you spend an hour doing something that you could have done doing something else, you actually lose the money. Like if you give value to an hour of yourself, let's say $30, $50, $100, whatever, or even more, then you're actually, that movie that you're watching or that series is gonna not cost you the Netflix subscription. It's gonna cost you multiple times of that, guaranteed. So you shouldn't even think about like the subscription, whether you want to activate that, because the amount that you spend for that is that much greater anyway. But you can obviously also overdo that. I think another point is, also maybe related with studying is the mental game. So what do you do for mental game work, and how is your mental game? How do you judge here on that?
Meditation helps a lot for sure. I start my days like every day. Meditation in the morning is like the most interesting part of my morning routine for sure. So meditation helps a lot, and then also if I consume some content, it's mostly motivational or educational, or just helps me to stay in that mindset. Or what I mean by that is when I used to follow like a lot of models or just like stupid pages on my Instagram, and it was distracting. But then I realized, like, even if I don't think it is affecting me, it is affecting me. What's the word? Subconsciously or unsubconsciously? Yeah, subconsciously. Yeah. So I actually unfollowed that, got rid of all those distractions, and actually went up with a motivational quote or videos, or actually something that will keep my mindset together. Then of course is the gym grind. Helps me with my mindset as well, even though it's a physical activity, but it actually helps with mentality as well. What do you think about that? That's an interesting topic, right? Actually, doing something helps with your mental state.
Well, I put a lot of thought in different areas, and of course the gym, body and mind, they're somehow synced. So if your body is not doing well, then your brain is probably not either. Especially when you're like on those marathon streaming playing sessions, it's fairly natural that if your body hasn't done anything but sitting, that you're gonna get impatient, because you're just sitting there, like you're not moving, and it's not natural for us to do moving. If you think like thousands of years back, you would have moved. Sometimes you save energy because you will need the energy for later, so that's like one thing, or you spend energy, whether you're hunting animals or you're gathering something, or working on any farms, on your farm or whatever, then it is something you do, but otherwise you preserve energy. But now it's when you're sitting, your body is not moving. It's very unnatural. People haven't done that thousands of years ago, just sitting like we do now. So sitting in itself is certainly something that has a bad effect on me. So going to the gym is definitely super valuable. And when I come back from the gym, I'm definitely more hyped and more motivated to do something again, because I've been moving. And also some of the things that you talked about before, the Instagram thing, maybe have you ever noticed yourself scrolling through Instagram, putting the phone away, and then 5 minutes later doing exactly the same thing with the exactly same pictures?
Yep, definitely. Yes.
That's a horrible
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, it is.
And I actually had a guy I listened to on it's called Business Factory. It's like a German company that teaches you about YouTube and content creation. And I had this guy saying, look, this is something that they target. They just want you to spend more time on YouTube, on all those platforms. And you kind of get wired that way, that you get those habits, you do that subconscious, just automatically you scroll through this. Like maybe if you're listening to this right now, ask yourself, do you do that too? Maybe you do. And that's just something we have to get rid of. I think this cannot be good. It's like a complete waste of time. Like, whereas there might be value the first time you scroll through the feed, looking what's up with some people. Maybe you know them personally. That's probably better. You say that you followed like some malls and stuff. That's like super distracting. Yeah, it's probably better to at some point unfollow, because it's not gonna, like, you don't know them, right? Why would you follow them too closely, unless you're like, I follow people more in interest in their brand and what they're doing and how they create attention in that sense for their audience and what they give to their audiences, but not really out of personal interest all that much.
Yeah, and I think it's double the amount dangerous for us as content creators. Like, I sometimes find myself just like, oh, someone liked this, like someone commented, and it's just like, I have my phone in my hand, just like too much sometimes, So
yeah, I actually put the phone away quite a bit, and then sometimes I thought about having that phone for like half an hour and doing all the things that I need to get done, but then having that hour also scheduled, or that half an hour scheduled. So as soon as it's scheduled, it's just not debatable on other times that you're just not using it. It's non-debatable. You're doing something else, like one thing at a time. And it's very important to create those habits. And it's actually pretty tough, I think, to do that.
That's why also when I wake up, like I used to, the first thing, like a couple of months ago, the first thing that I used to do in the morning was just like check my phone, like all the emails, all the new likes and everything, the comments and everything. I found out it's actually affecting the whole day. Like, for example, when I see a negative comment on one of my YouTube videos in the morning, like I used to be like down all day just from that comment. So I think it's really important to like not do that in the morning. Just like now I wake up, I get a coffee, I meditate, and then I'm ready to take all the heat.
Okay. Yeah, don't let anyone ruin your day with like an email or something. Or also if you're having your boss contacting you with something, like don't let it happen. But by the way, what do you think about work in general, like working for a company? I think as a poker players and streamers, content creators, we're self-employed, so to speak, and we have that unique perspective on how we live life. Like, we're not working for someone, we're working for ourselves and for the people that watch us. And that's, I think, a very high freedom that we can enjoy. Whereas other people, they always have that, oh, it's Monday. Like, I don't even know it's Monday or it's Friday. I have no idea. So how do you think about that? Like,
once again, I think it all comes down to intent and self-esteem. Like, self-esteem, what I mean by that is, like, you got to figure out who you are first. Like, there are people who would like to be a singer, but can you sing? There are people who would like to be making videos, but like, can you make videos? And just like, are you ready to actually, absorb the stress that comes with it? Because like, once again, you need to ask yourself or realize what you are asking for. You are asking to live a life that, 95 or even 99% of people are not able to live, or are not willing to do the things that would lead them to the life that they want to live. So it just takes a lot of self-esteem, a lot of self-talk. You need to make sure, or you have to believe that you are capable of doing it. And I just, it's not for everybody. Like, it is, but it takes some sacrifices and stuff. Like the feeling of uncertainty is the word. I'm not sure. Like when something is not promised.
Well, accepting that you're just
You are
sometimes lost and
you are
admitting that.
you are on your own. Like
Yeah.
there's no one else to blame. And
Yeah.
when you
But
have work and you have a steady job, like you feel safe. But when you actually are on your own, like yeah, it's just sometimes
I think it's much more challenging these days, and but I also think that's the beauty of it, that you can just be on your own trying to figure it out all by yourself. Like, you know, you're not dependent on anyone. You can just do what you think needs to be done and find your own way. And it takes a lot of courage. I actually did, you know, study to become a teacher, and I think at some point also realized that maybe I would be doing something else, but I have to do this in order to feel secure. I definitely didn't have the confidence to just go out there and do whatever I think was going to be best. And then over the years now, especially last years, that if I had that same mindset like 10 years ago, I probably wouldn't have even studied, because I would have known that I could do most of it myself. That doesn't mean like that if you are intending to study, you shouldn't. Like, there's certainly going to be career paths that, as if that's for you, then that's for you. But knowing myself now better than ever before, I would tell my 10-year-old younger self to just have some courage and go out there and do what you think you need to do. Yeah.
Yep. That's exactly self-esteem. What you just talk about there, that's self-esteem. Like you figure out who you are and you went for it.
But yeah, sorry.
Yeah, and it took some time to figure out that, as you said, of course. But actually doing made you realize that.
Yeah, you just can't know before you get into it. And sometimes I think especially younger people, like if you're at the start of the 20s, you just have to believe in something. And you know, what's the worst thing that can happen? And yes, some people are going to go into financial dead ends, and they're gonna, you know, have problems paying their bills. But you know, the thing is, you always should ask yourself, like, how much luxury do you have? And I think like I could live off by so little money. Like if I really had to, I think I could make my yearly expenses driven down to such a low amount. I don't know. I don't want to put
that's what I'm basically doing now.
Yeah.
Like I'm sleeping in the studio. Like I have my setup, I have my clothes, everything. I take shower in the gym or at my parents' house, and I just basically live in the studio. The studio costs like $150 a month.
Okay.
Which
that's
is like how much is that a year?
I am a minimalist person.
Yeah. I don't like a lot of stuff. Yeah. So that's it. Like my monthly expenses are just like the studio, the insurance, the internet connection, and the food, and that's it.
Yeah, it's like
you don't need much money to actually go after your dreams.
You can probably live off 10K a year.
Yeah, even less, 10K.
Even less, yeah.
Even less, for sure.
If you are in the right country and you got that online business set up, or like working online as you do,
yeah, even less. And once again, like I've been streaming for like almost 2 years now, and it doesn't make me enough profit to actually be able to make a living out of it yet. It's definitely like my goal, but I'm still able to keep on going thanks to the way I live my life, or the way I cut my expenses. Of course, like if I felt like I need a car or something, then I would have to sacrifice this and actually sacrifice my dream to just get a car. So you have to ask yourself, what's important for you? To get a nice car, or to like live humble for a couple of months, years, and actually put yourself in a position to get to your goal. So
I couldn't agree more. I mean, that's certainly some people could benefit so greatly by that attitude, you know, that you cannot have it all, and just living too luxuriously, or just even having some standards of living that you don't need a lot. You need like food, you need a place to sleep. And for some people that's easier to accept than for others, and to see like what they can, you know, get from it, that they can actually discover. It's going to maybe take some years, and maybe it's also struggle at first because financially, I would say that the first years can be quite brutal. Because you won't be able to afford like that much. So if you're a person that needs a lot, this lifestyle of like a streamer, of a poker player is probably not for you, because if you need a fancy car and everything, you gotta work for someone that pays you enough for your skills. But that also means you're gonna limit yourself to what you can achieve, because working for someone else, most of the time at least, it's gonna give you some money, but it's I think it's always developing yourself a little bit less than you could if you were on your own. So I like a lot the pursuit of your own project that you have.
Thank you.
Let's go into another topic, and that is going to be party poker and poker stars. I think we talked about it a bit before this podcast as well. And why is poker stars dominating Twitch so much?
Because it's the biggest. It's still leveraging the brand that they've built it in the last couple of years, like almost 20 years now, right? PokerStars has been around for 20 years, right?
I do think, roughly
something like that. Yeah,
maybe less.
They still leveraging the brand. Like, they used to be the place to go to play online poker, but as we all know, with the recent change of the owner and everything, there were some moves that we as poker players did not like, and that's where I think actually now party poker excels. They are taking the advantage that PokerStars is actually not doing the moves to necessarily keep the poker players in the system, but maybe they are doing more moves to get new players into the system. And party poker is taking advantage of all the what's the word I'm looking for? Unhappy poker players, and they are trying to get them to play on their side. So I think party poker is doing some smart moves when it comes to this.
But at the same time, they're not gaining like that big market share. They gain some players, like the unhappy players, as you say. Yeah, but people have to become unhappy first. And surprisingly, they stay somewhat happy for quite a long time on PokerStars. That's really surprising to me, especially when you think about like KO tournaments. The price for a KO tournament on PokerStars is up to 4 times as high on PokerStars than on party poker. That is absolutely ridiculous. Like, if you told someone, hey, you got 2 poker sites, you got PokerStars and party poker, you can play a KO tournament, but the price on PokerStars is 4 times as high, where would you play? Like, you would go on party poker. But now, with all the background, also with all the Twitch streamers that are promoting PokerStars and that they're showing the playing experiences, which is still better on PokerStars. Like, the playing experience undoubtedly is the best on PokerStars, I would say. That I will never deny. As much as I hate the new rake structures, the shitty rakeback system on PokerStars, the playing experience is still going to be the best, unfortunately. And I wish party poker could make the playing experience for the online players better, because when you look at the live poker scene, party poker actually is taking over the live poker scene a little bit, because they somehow understand the live poker scene better. They understand what the live player wants, how to make the experience of the live poker player so that he will come back. And I know a lot of people from Switzerland who go to those live tournaments, and they think like, party poker is cool. I play like this 1,000 euro tournament and they have fun. And they don't care whether it's from PokerStars or party poker. They don't care. They just want to have a nice tournament with a nice structure, with an okay rake, I guess. The rake is like kind of secondary, as long as it's not like over the top. And they just want to have clear rules, fair games, like all that a poker player wants, and a cool location, maybe, in a nice city, so good accommodation deal. So if all these factors that play into, I think party poker, the brand understands party poker live, what those players want. But what do players online want?
What do players online want? I think, yeah, it's the playing experience. I think just the rake and the playing experience is, poker stars with the rake. It's doing pretty bad, but it still has the playing experience, as you said. The software, it's still the fastest. It looks the best. But once again, hard for me to judge because there's no party poker in Czech Republic. I forgot to say. But from what I've seen and what I've heard, party poker is moving towards the right way, I think, or right direction.
Yeah, I always wonder like what their strategists behind the brand, like what they're doing and who they're talking to, because I feel like a lot of people like you and me would have some insights on what the audience want, and like we know a lot of poker players and what they tell us what they think, right? So I'm wondering like who they talk to, and strategy wise, I think they could do even much better. I think what I found shocking, especially, is on Twitch, if they're streaming, like why haven't they asked the people, like why do PokerStars streamers get thousands as many viewers, like literally, right, or 100 at least, 100 to 1,000x viewers than a party poker streamer?
Why? I think it still comes down to the brand. Like PokerStars is still a bigger brand than party poker, and it's gonna take a while for party poker to take their place, if they even take the place. It's not easy to take down the giant in the business. So I think PokerStars still sells as a brand. It's still no matter how much shit we talk about it, or how unhappy we are, I still play there, like you still play there. Yeah. People that complain still play there because it's still the place. But as I said, if PS keeps on making the bad moves and party poker keeps on making the right moves, it's gonna take some time, but I think it's gonna eventually overtake if it continues like this, whether it comes to online market or the live market as well. And as you said, maybe party poker dominates the live market even now.
Yeah, I mean, what PokerStars has done basically, and I think it's the same like in any business deal, is when you have like when you say sell a car, for instance, or you buy a car, like both parties have like their numbers, right? And you try to make the other guy just either pay the most, or you want to pay the least possible for the car, depending on what side you're on. And you try to come from an angle where you just give the worst offer possible for the other person. And I think that's what PokerStars has been doing. Like they gave us pretty much of the most ridiculous option, like when it comes to PokerStars cash game rake and the rake back. Like they've given us like the worst possible. Like if they went any lower than that, I think their analysts have been really clever, because if they went any lower than that, I think people would have left. Like now, sort of PokerStars has been a little bit forgiven for those regular cuts. It's already been a little bit in the past, and the new people who come in, they think that it's normal. They think that it's normal to rake 4.5% to 5% rake, with sometimes an uncapped rake at the lower limits, and also get 4% to maybe 6% of rake back. I think it's normal. It's like it's a gift. You get rake back of 4 to 6%. They don't know about those old times, and that's quite shocking, because the price to play poker these days has never been higher. And like also in live poker, by the way, it's been going up in the industry quite a bit. I think in most venues, in Las Vegas, for instance, quite a bit on the smaller games. So it's never been more expensive to play poker. And yeah, new people come in thanks to Twitch and other social media platforms. People get to know about poker, but also the problem is that less and less people win. And I think at some point that will bite us a little bit in the ass, because people also they don't need just to celebrate poker, they also need to win. Like if people on Twitch are less often winning, at some point that will be quite bad for poker. Like people need to win, I think, at some point. And maybe you can make it that you're not so transparent as a streamer that you can say, all right, who cares whether I'm winning or not? You don't have to present like the end of yearly numbers, whether you lost money or not. Like people don't they don't care like as much, but maybe over time, if it's like too bad, people will get to know it. So if PokerStars goes any more ridiculous and people keep on losing and losing, then at some point it's going to be too much.
Yes, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, I think that's but we will see. I hope that Party Poker has some more moves on their behalf, and not just Party Poker. We also talked about Run It Once as a strategy concept, but I'm really hoping for Phil Gaffon to step in here, because he's been a poker player for more than a decade, and I think he really wants players to be able to win, and I hope that their Twitch presence is going to be really, really good, better than Party Poker, because we need like a poker site that has good intentions, not only for making money, because everyone wants to make money, that's totally natural, but also for players to have a fair game, for a micro stakes player to have a fair game at 1 cent, 2 cent, 5 cent, 10 cent, or like low buy-in tournaments where you have 5% rake maybe on some turbo tournaments, and that just people are able to build their bankrolls once more again. So the poker dream, which is to make money from scratch, that was always the poker dream, that it's still going to be alive. And this is also part of, I think, my mission, that I want that dream to stay alive for people, because this has been my dream 7-8 years ago a little bit. I said, oh, you can make money with this, playing a card game. This is awesome. And I don't want the dream to die for people. That's something.
Yeah, that's very important. Like that has to stay for sure.
Yeah,
and I think with the Run Once, I'm excited about that for all the reasons that you just named. Like Phil Galfond as a as a CEO of that company, he has been a poker player, so he knows what he's talking about. Actually, like he's been there, so I'm really excited about it, honestly.
Yeah.
And
the thing is, it always looks so easy from the outset, but if it were that easy, right, then someone else would have done it. If it was that profitable to make a good poker site that's for the players, someone would have done it. Like there must be so many marketing problems that a company like Run It Once Poker is now facing. Otherwise, someone would have done it. Like,
yes.
That's a bit of a pity, because that's why the big companies with like a monopoly like PokerStars almost has are able to exploit the players by that much. And I just hope they get it done. And I ask myself, look, we as regulars, we as longer time poker players, maybe we just see through these things a little bit more than the recreational player who just gets into poker. Maybe they just don't understand the system, the industry, and how it works. And just play. They just play where the playing experience is good, and that's a problem. I hope that Run It Once Poker can fix that. They can make a great playing experience. That they can get brand ambassadors who just promote the game in the best possible way, so that people who get into poker, they see that the dream's alive. They can make money playing the game, and that they can get it on the site that's fair for them. That's for the players, that they can win it. I hope that they're doing a great job. That's
yes.
Yeah. So I want to get in some wrapping up questions. I see as something that you also want to bring up. Like maybe I got some people in the chat. I see like some new people tuning in. We have like 10, 12 viewers here. What are you guys thinking? If you have any questions in the chat on YouTube here, let us know. Ready to answer some of your questions, of course.
Yes, I'm going to be very happy to answer them for you, so feel free to type them in. Very interesting topics today, Andreas.
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about. Yeah. I think especially about what's happening in the poker industry, because I really care about the poker industry. Is really important. Really endless conversations possible about that, and there's also a reason why I wanted to start this podcast and invite players and streamers like you, because I think you have a lot to share about poker life, about the poker industry, about how you perceive it, and your thoughts. Cam Coop says, really enjoyed the statements about focus and cutting the emotional attachment to things like Instagram, etc. All right, definitely noted. I am wondering whether I can, even produce some more content around it, because I'm aware that I'm not super good at it either. Like I'm wasting some time on these platforms as well, trying to, become more efficient. So if nobody has a question right now, like we're still waiting for a little bit. What are your plans for the future? Like what's the plan now moving forward? What is on your plate?
First of all, finish this goddamn challenge. That's that's my first goal. So hopefully we can. Not hopefully, I believe we can finish the challenge, make that epic comeback. We dropped from 952 to 76, I think is the bankroll now. It sounds ridiculous. But yeah, it happens. And I think a lot of actually, what do you think about that, Andres? I would like to take or know your POV on it as well. Like, do you think it's rare?
What is rare?
Like sticking to 100 plus bankroll management to have a downswing like that. Do you think it's rare or normal? Or do you think
I've seen really, really large bankroll shifts and in challenges as well. So I have seen a lot of variance in all different formats, including cash games and tournaments. And personally, I was up like over 100K, like I think 110K, and at some point, like I got at 80K or something. So I had like a $30,000-$40,000 bankroll downswing with like a $40-$50 average bind. So it's pretty been a lot as well. But when it comes to your challenge, for me, it's really important like what your true edge win rate big blinds per 100 is. So I think in order for me to feel like how realistic your downswing is, I'd have to see your database, because the database speaks truth. I think that you need around 10 big blinds per 100 at least on micros, if not more. And also, you just cannot make any ICM punts, like big stack offs with ace queen or pocket tens on the final 40. They will hurt you a lot in your expected dollar AV of each tournament, whether it's a sitting or a tournament. So it's an ICM side of things and a chip EV side of things. And if you got those two things covered, and I know all the data, then I can plug it into pokerdope.com/variance calculator, and then see how realistic, how unlucky, or whatever that could be. And I saw though that you had a rake number. Isn't your rake number like 8,000?
No, it's 800 something.
800
or 900 something. My total buy-in is like 10K.
Oh yeah, sorry, like. Your buy-in is like 10K and your rake is like 800 to 1,000. Like if you look at the whole challenge and if you think about 10,000 in buy-ins, the sick thing about it is if you think about the PokerStars rake change, that means it's a $200 difference for your challenge. And that's absolutely ridiculous. Like the new system with 10,000 in buy-ins and the old system is a $200 difference. And you're trying to go from $10 to $1,000. That is ridiculous. That's ridiculous. If you think about it, it could be at 276 now if you played all in the new system. And you got to just be aware that that's going to cut down in 2%. I would probably also cut out a lot of hypers in your shoes, even though hypers can be profitable. People are horrible at it, but it takes like very, very minimal mistakes in hypers. Hypers edges are not that big. So I think I would think more about the optimization that you can do. So now PokerStars has a new rake bet system. So maybe that is hurting you so much that you want to even game select harder than you do. You want to know at which stages of the tournaments you're actually being better than your opponents and by how much, because it's not enough that you're just better. You have to be a lot better and try to win at every stage of the tournament for the right reasons. And also up your note-taking system, how much notes you're taking on your opponents, how you categorize them, that you have a lot of data on all of them, sharp scoping people. Like everything has to be optimized these days on micros. And of course your strategy as well. What can you adjust? Where can you get some additional big blinds per 100? I would center all around that, and then just letting variance happen as it goes.
Yeah. Definitely, like it's there as long as the challenge takes. I think there's still new things to improve, which I like as well. So there's definitely things to improve, and It's undeniable. I think the variance is undeniable. I'm more than happy to send you the number so you can take a look at it.
Yeah.
But once again, of course, there have been some faults and mistakes on my side as well. It's not just variance, of course. But yeah, I'm just on a mission to redeem myself and make that epic comeback and hopefully start a new challenge. I think the secondary challenge might be one of the last big projects of me on Twitch, and I would just like to eventually switch to the live tournament scene more, if my bankroll allows me to do so in the future. So yeah, I would just like to travel, create content, whether it's vlogs or streaming, of course. And just do.
I think also the world is much more open to that. Like you have more opportunities probably, like traveling the world, like for yourself to, talking about poker, what you're doing. You have different locations. You can show people much more than just from your office, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you're gonna provide some unique value by traveling the world and showing people that lifestyle. And from online poker, it's going to be very similar for a long time when you have those challenges. So I think the rhythm from that all is important. So we got actually questions coming up here. So it's more about, would you consider cash game in your challenge to reduce variance?
Would I consider cash game to reduce variance?
Yeah.
It's against the rules. Rule number 1 of the challenge is no cash games. I knew when I made the rule that it's going to be harder thanks to it. But I'm not about to break the rules after the 260 days just to make it easier for me. So nope, no cash games.
Okay. I'm just starting to play local tournaments and the field is okay, bordering on the week. I'm finding I'm going hard and forgetting GTO playing in intensity. Did you ever go through this? Did you see the question or?
No, I don't have the.
So Camcooper said like he's finding it hard and forgetting GTO playing on intensity. Did you ever go through this? He plays local tournaments. Talks about
So he's basically struggling with like making the optimal play. I mean, in local tournaments, probably not. It depends on also who are you playing against, of course. Like. I think actually, forgetting the GTO play actually like doesn't hurt you. Like you can still play exploitively. But I don't know like what he's trying to say. He's probably trying to say that he sometimes plays unoptimal because it takes long. Or
the thing is also when it comes to like GTO poker and exploitable poker, people. Like the optimal poker is so far still away from how we are actually playing online, even if we try to do so. So if you look at how a computer plays, where time is proven that we're not going to be able to play like a computer. Time has proven it over and over again. Like solvers aren't out there not for a couple of months, they're out there for years, especially a program called PeerSolver and those other solvers. So people haven't managed to make that their game. They just didn't, or they haven't. And you don't have to be worried about people playing a second about it. But what we can do is our way of learning from solvers. We have to basically learn concepts for our game from the solvers. You have to look at the output, and sometimes people have to explain to you what the output really means for your strategy. For instance, if the board comes check 4-3, and you're in position, if you have bottom set or middle set, you would always prefer those combinations to bet big and bet over multiple streets to a hand like pocket tens, of course. And that's like the complete opposite. Like pocket tens is probably, a hand that doesn't benefit nearly as much by betting and betting big. And we also know from solvers that you have to mix it up so that you have to sometimes check a hand and sometimes bet a hand in order not to become predictable or transparent on some certain rounds. But the concept that you can get from it is when the board comes check 4-3 is that when you don't have a jack in your hand and you have a better hand than that, meaning you have queens, kings, aces, pocket threes, pocket fours, that means that your opponent is more likely going to have the top pair, which you can get value from. So if you had a top set, for instance, you have the stronger hand than pocket threes, but you probably make more money with pocket threes, because if you have jacks, there's only one jack left in the deck, and your opponent's not going to have as many hands anymore. And that's just something that you have to get from these solvers, from combinatorics, from studying the game. And that's a very simple thing. And the solver is going to clearly show you, well, you got a higher EV for this combination in this situation. And you have to ask yourself, well, why is that the case? Why does the computer tell me that this hand is more profitable on average than the other? Why should I check aces more often than queens on check 3-4? Well, if you have pocket queens, there can be two overcards, a king and an ace, and you have pocket aces, there is not going to be an overcard. So you can afford to give a free card more often with aces. And that's not just something, maybe you have the same intuitive understanding, the exploitative understanding, but the solver clearly shows you the numbers and shows you, what is really the truth. And then you just have to figure out something that works exceptionally well against how people are playing. And that's exploitative poker, and that's an endless type of work, because everyone's different. Everyone's going to have a different strategy with different leagues that you can try to exploit, and you have to figure it out what they do and what you can do to exploit it. And you can model it with solver as well. So you can do so much. There's so much work to be done for poker in order to improve. I see it more now than ever before. So some more questions I'm not asking in the chat. Some running up questions maybe. Who do you look up to in the inside the poker world, or in general in life? Like, first, poker world. Who do you look up to?
My favorite player is Jason Kuhn, hands down. I just really like the way he approaches the game. I like how he approaches the overall lifestyle as a poker player, whether it's the gym or the eating and the mindset and everything. I just really admire Jason Kuhn. From the streamer or Twitch world, of course, Felix Schneiders, aka Xflix, was someone that I always looked up to as a content creator. And now with I'm honored to say that we became friends and we work together and we respect each other. So it's
I actually met him recently as well in Cologne. I mean, great guy, and he's been super hardworking in the poker industry. And also the way he formed his community to step in here is just they're so friendly. Those people, like his community that he built, they're such friendly people. I don't have the same experience, for example, with YouTube, where people are sometimes not so friendly. And he just understands how to build a community over time, despite like working for PokerStars, which is it's like he did a super great job on that. And we're actually going to have him on the podcast here as well, guys. So I hope you guys are excited for more podcasts coming up here in the future. And who do you look up to outside of poker world? Who are your idols?
Gary Vaynerchuk, for sure. Have you heard of Gary Vaynerchuk?
Yeah, of course. Who hasn't?
Like all of this, honestly, the studio, the way I live my life, the content, the branding, and everything, he has been a big influencer for me, and when it comes to that. So he just like opened my eyes like no one ever did. So Gary for sure. Like, it's actually one of my goals to actually like meet him and shake his hand for doing that, or for motivating me to do this. Cause
what question would you ask him? Do you have a question ready?
I actually don't have the question. I think I consumed so much of his content that actually all the questions that I had got answered. I would just like thank him and just showed my
appreciation for what he's doing.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe like, what would I ask him? I don't know, honestly. I don't know. I would just
I like spontaneously. I don't have a question either, but I'm sure I would try to come up with something.
Yeah, if I thought about it. Yeah, of course.
I mean, I got his audiobook as well, Crush It and Crushing It, and about all these thoughts about social media and attention. And I couldn't agree more. Like, the beauty of the internet today is just that you can you can document, you can produce, especially documenting. I didn't understand that some time ago. Like I just, these days, I think more in documenting than like just producing. I want to let people know how it is to play poker, and just let people the experience, about the emotions that you're going through. Even though, like from my side, there's going to be a lot of negative emotions as well coming in. But at the same time, that is somehow valuable, that the experience, that people can see that as well. Less than, for example, strategy, which is only for a few people, which I also want to talk to. It's just a little bit of niche, I guess, of mine. But yeah, I mean, super inspiring guy, great Gary Vaynerchuk, and I definitely follow him as well. Anyone else that comes to your mind that you enjoyed listening to?
Outside of poker world, Jay Shetty, I discovered recently as well. Jay Shetty used to be a monk. Now he's a content producer, motivational speaker. And yeah, just has a big Facebook page, and just produces a lot of motivational and mindset and the type of videos. So Jay Shetty as well. And then those are the two names that, and also Meek Mill, my favorite rapper. I can't forget about Meek Mill.
How do you spell that? Meek?
Meek, M, 2 E's, K.
Meek Mill. Okay, I haven't followed this guy.
Meek Mill, yeah.
It's super big. Also, like there's so many people that I don't know about on YouTube as well, that are producing content. And yeah, I'm also trying to follow like people's recommendations. I talk so often with people about people who produce content on YouTube and they have something valuable to share. And I try to get to know more and more of these channels and what they do, how they motivate an audience. And I get to know more and more people, and I haven't heard ever from him. Like he's like 2.5 million subs. Like how did I not see that guy before? But yeah, it's all algorithm. YouTube is going to recommend you certain people and certain not, and it's like how the everything is connected. And but there's so much opportunity these days, and I definitely want to learn about that. And yeah, what is possible, and it's going to be a grind.
Yeah, and also Russ. Follow Russ as well. You know who Russ is?
Who's Russ?
Rapper as well, but like self-made rapper. Like the way he came up is just ridiculous.
Russ and then what?
What?
Russ and what? It's just Russ.
That's it. It's just Russ.
Russ Vivo. Okay.
Russ Vivo.
Okay. Gonna follow these guys and see what they're up to. Yep. Yeah. With that, I want to wrap up the poker player podcast for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I want to thank you very much for tuning in, and also thank you much for you as my guest, Karlencho. It's been a pleasure. And yeah, maybe having you back in some time. Maybe when you have some new insights and new things to talk about. If you have anything for the chat, I will let you have the last word. I want to thank you very much for tuning in, for being in today.
Thanks for inviting me. I'm down to do it whenever you want. Hopefully, when I finish the challenge, I'm gonna come to your podcast to celebrate it. And yeah, guys, thanks so much for tuning in, everyone. And stay grinding, stay motivated, stay blessed, and yeah, just live life. That's it. That's my message.